Hey guys, it's the Hooper Saiyan, and welcome back to another episode of the life of a Hooper Saiyan. So before we get started, I'm just gonna give a quick shout out to my social media pages at the Hooper Saiyan for Instagram and Twitter, and also I would like to give a shout out to my Spotify, SoundCloud, and YouTube channel. You can find me under the Hooper Saiyan or TLOAHS, which stands for the life of a Hooper Saiyan. You will find the podcast on there. I'm also starting to upload actual YouTube content, so make sure if you're not listening this to YouTube already, make sure you go check out the YouTube channel, and if you are listening, make sure you hit that subscribe button because I will be uploading content. So I'm gonna get right into the weekly awards that I have for each podcast, and that is starting off with Player and Performance of the Week, which both go to James Harden. Now, James Harden in the two scrimmages beforehand averaged about 30 points, 9 rebounds, 9 assists, which gave him Player of the Week along with his Performance of the Week in the W versus the Mavericks, where he had 49 points, 8 rebounds, 8 assists, 3 blocks, and 3 steals. So a very, very good showing for James Harden on Friday night, as he also had 23 points in the first quarter and shot perfect from the floor in that first quarter. So going on to Team of the Week, we have the Los Angeles Clippers, who beat the Pelicans by a very, very large amount, and they also broke their own personal franchise record for threes made, being 25. And I added a new segment onto this before we get to the Open Your Eyes player, which is Game of the Week, which actually goes to the Rockets versus the Mavericks. It was an overtime thriller with a huge comeback at the end, with Robert Covington tipping in a James Harden missed free throw to put it into overtime, and the Rockets ended up winning 153 to 149. The Mavericks had 4 players over 20 points and 2 players over 30 points. And of course, James Harden had 49, Russell Westbrook had 31, and Daniel House Jr. had about 20. So a very, very entertaining game on Friday night. And now, the Open Your Eyes player of the podcast actually goes to Marcus Smart. And the reason why it's going to Marcus Smart is not only did he have a very solid 23-point showing versus the Bucks, even though they lost, I started to realize that Marcus Smart has the ability to guard almost everybody in the league. And I say that because if you watch the Bucks game and the Celtics game, Brad Stevens actually put Marcus Smart on Giannis, and he did a very, very good job, to the point where late in the fourth quarter, Giannis would call for a screen, and he would just keep having screens set to him just so he could get Marcus Smart off of him and put a bigger guy on him, like Jason Tatum or Gordon Hayward, who Giannis just blew by each time. So that's why I'm giving this Open Your Eyes player to Marcus Smart, because of his ability on defense, which I knew he had, but I didn't know to what extent. So that's why it's to Marcus Smart. Now I'm just going to get right into today's topic, which is my personal 2020 mock draft for the NBA. That's for the NBA draft that's coming up very soon after the season ends. I'm going to be going off what the team needs. That's how I'm going to determine my picks. And also, one more thing before we get started, the draft picks will be determined by Bleacher Report's most recent mock draft article. So, like example, the number 1 pick goes to Golden State, the number 2 pick goes to another team, and so on. And I just took what Bleacher Report had for their picks, not like the actual players, but for the teams, and I just used them on here. And I'm going to be doing picks 1 through 10 so I can make it as basically not too long, like as short as possible, while having a good lengthy podcast. So let's just get right into it with the first pick of the 2020 Hooper Saiyan draft. The Golden State Warriors select James Wiseman. Now, the team needs big men. The only centers that they have on that team are Willie Cauley-Stein and a 6'9" Kevon Looney, who should probably be playing the power forward position. Drafting James Wiseman would mean that James Wiseman would be the tallest player on the team at 7'2". But my only concern is in-game experience. He's only played 3 games with Memphis before basically the NCAA just screwed him over and he couldn't play again. But I think that this will be a pretty easy fix with some time in the NBA. I think his court feel will get better. I think his awareness will get better just with time and playing in the league. And my NBA comparison to him is actually going to be Hassan Whiteside. So, with the second pick in the 2020 Hooper Saiyan draft, the Cleveland Cavaliers select Anthony Edwards, the combo guard and shooting guard out of Georgia. Now, the only real shooting guard that the Cleveland Cavaliers have is Kevin Porter Jr., who they list at the small forward, although they also put Colin Sexton at the 2, who should really be the 1. Now, Edwards is considered the best scorer in the draft, and the Cavs need a scoring star. My concern with him, though, is shot selection. He has amazing shooting potential, but he shoots very poor shots, like a bunch of turnaround contested fadeaways, deep contested threes, and that's going to overall bring his percentages down because they're tough shots. So I do think that this will be fixed, but it might take a while, maybe a year or two, depending on how much of a habit it is for him. But my comparison, though, is a prime T-Mac. Now, will he live up to a prime T-Mac? I'm not saying that he will, but that's what I see whenever I see him play, is a prime T-Mac. All right, with the third pick in the 2020 Hooper Saiyan draft, the Minnesota Timberwolves select LaMelo Ball out of Australia. The Timberwolves need another playmaker, so D'Angelo Russell can take the scoring load for the Timberwolves on the perimeter side. And LaMelo is the best playmaker in the draft. I personally think that he can fit very well with the Timberwolves, especially if they pick up more shooters in the offseason. And I think that LaMelo Ball and Karl Anthony Towns are going to have so much fun together, just playing with each other. And plus, D'Angelo Russell and Karl Anthony Towns is one of my favorite duos in the league, even though they haven't played that much. I don't know why. Every time I think of Karl Anthony Towns and D'Angelo Russell, it just fits for some reason. I don't know if you guys feel the same way, but that's personally how I feel. I just think that LaMelo Ball would be a perfect fit for the Timberwolves, and it might, with some time, they might be able to keep that young core and expand on it and make a playoff push. My only concern, considering LaMelo, is actually going to be his efficiency. LaMelo shot 25% with Illawarra. He has a pretty unorthodox form, kind of like how his brother has, but it's not like his brother's, if that makes any sense. I'm just saying like they both have unorthodox forms coming into the league, but I do think that tweaking the form in the NBA, just like how Lonzo tweaked his form and improved his shooting, and also working on LaMelo's shot selection, LaMelo can become a playmaking scorer. And my NBA comparison is actually going to be Magic Johnson. Now with the fourth pick in the 2020 Hooper Saiyan draft, the Atlanta Hawks select Tyrese Halliburton, a point guard from Iowa State. Tyrese is a 6'5" point guard with about a 6'8" wingspan, and he has extreme defensive potential. He showed a lot of flashes over at Iowa State, and he is also a very good playmaker. But the Hawks need perimeter defense. Their perimeter defenders consist of Trae Young, which I love Trae, but he is not exactly the best defender in the NBA. You got Cam Reddish, who isn't exactly a good defender. Jeff Teague is alright. Kevin Huerter is. So basically, you don't have much perimeter defense on that team, and drafting Tyrese will give them that extreme defensive potential. And he will also be a good backup point guard who can learn under Jeff Teague, as he is also a great pick and roll playmaker. Now, my only concern with him is that he's about 175 pounds at 6'5", and he's going to struggle with the physicality adjustment. He definitely needs to add weight, but once he adds weight, he has potential to become a great playmaking defender. And my comparison for him is actually going to be Lonzo Ball, who is a great playmaking defender in today's league. Now, with the fifth pick in the 2020 Hooper Saiyan draft, the Detroit Pistons select Isaac Okoro from Auburn. Isaac is a great slasher and a top college defender. He is 6'6" with a 6'8.5" wingspan. And my concern for him is shooting. He is not known as a shooter at all. So can he adjust? We don't know. He needs to develop a jump shot if he wants to last in this league. Unless he turns out to be freaking Giannis. But there's only one Giannis, and I think there'll only be one Giannis. And my comparison for him is going to be Andre Iguodala. All right. For the 6th pick in the 2020 Hooper Saiyan mock draft, the New York Knicks select Killian Hayes from France. Now, I know Knicks fans right now are thinking, that's just another foreigner. Which, it's true. But, Knicks, you guys need a point guard. And Killian Hayes is the best available point guard with amazing scoring and defensive potential. And he has an amazing left hand. But my only concern for him is decision making. Over in France, 25% of Killian's possessions ended in turnovers. And he definitely needs to cut that down if he wants to last in the league. And my comparison for him, Drew Holiday. Now, with the 7th pick in the 2020 Hooper Saiyan draft, the Chicago Bulls select Obi Toppin, the power forward and small forward from Dayton. Now, the Bulls need athleticism that isn't named Zach LaVine, and Obi Toppin is the most athletic player in the draft who has shown also the ability to shoot the 3-ball, as he's done step backs. He can even shoot sometimes pull-up threes, but my concern for him is defense. He did get a little bit pushed around in college, and he doesn't really have a defensive motor, but I believe that Obi is so athletic that I think that could be a pretty easy fix. And my comparison for him is Amari Stoudemire. Now, number 8, the 8th pick in the 2020 Hooper Saiyan NBA draft, the Charlotte Hornets select Deni Avdija. Now, I am a Hornets fan. I am a diehard Hornets fan. We need a scoring wing, and Denny might be the guy for us. He's aggressive. He loves shooting in transition, and he can handle the ball in pick and roll scenarios. Despite his height being about 6'8" to 6'9", he is a very, very solid ball handler. But my only concern for him is ISO offense. He struggles to create his own shot, and he loves the right hand a little bit too much. But I do think that this can be fixed, considering how much potential he has as a shooter and his ball handling ability. And my comparison for him is going to be Gordon Hayward. Now, with the 9th pick in the 2020 Hooper Saiyan draft, the Washington Wizards select Devin Vassell from Florida State. Now, Devin is usually projected to go about 17th in the draft, but I gave him at 9th because the Wizards need scoring that's not Bradley Beal or John Wall whenever he does come back. And Devin is a 41% three-point shooter and a great defender. He's at 6'7" and 7 feet. Now, my concern is explosiveness. He can jump, but he's not that explosive when driving to the basket. But I think that with his ability of jumping, I think that could be pretty easy. He just needs to be more aggressive when driving to the basket. My comparison is actually going to be Kelly Oubre Jr. And now with the last pick, the 10th pick, in the 2020 Hooper Saiyan NBA mock draft, the Phoenix Suns select Cole Anthony, the point guard out of UNC. Cole Anthony is a scoring guard that can replace Ricky Rubio and pair with Devin Booker in the future. But my concern, though, is playmaking. He does not have the vision that a point guard should have. But the reason why I had him drafted the Suns, is because right now you have a great playmaker in Ricky Rubio, who's right now 3rd in the league in assists and has been a consistent playmaker throughout his whole career. And I think that Cole Anthony can learn under the now vet Ricky Rubio. And my comparison to him, for him, is going to be Derrick Rose. So thank you guys for listening to this episode of The Life of a Hooper Saiyan. Be sure to check out the social medias at The Hooper Saiyan, and on SoundCloud, Spotify, and YouTube is The Hooper Saiyan. And as always, stay cool.